Didn't see you there. I'm Professor Max, and I'm here to teach you about the law of cosines. Now I know you're probably thinking, what is Professor Max talking about? I don't know what the law of cosines is. Well, by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to solve a law of cosines application problem. So let's get started. The example problem reads, Presidents McKinley, Harding, and Taft are all going miniature golfing on a warm summer night in the outskirts of Lima, Peru. President Taft, being the big eater he is at the drive-thru of a Wendy's getting a Frosty at point A, which is 11 miles away from President McKinley at the miniature golf course at point C. The miniature golf course at point C is also 8 miles away from President Harding's house, where he is searching for the keys to his Toyota Corolla at point B. If angle C is 37 degrees, what is the distance between the Wendy's and President Harding's home? Make sure to round to 2 decimal places. So when solving a law of cosines problem, one of the first steps you need to do is figure out which information you need and which stuff is just extra stuff in the problem. So if we look at our problem, we can see that we don't need to know what kind of day it is in Lima, Peru, so we can cross that out. We don't need to know that President Taft is a big eater, so we can cross that out. And we don't need to know that President Harding has a Toyota Corolla, so we can go ahead and cross that out. And what we're left with is the numbers and the destinations. Now that we know what information we need and what information we don't need, we can start to draw a picture. So, by reading our problem, we know that there are 3 points. Points A, B, and C. And we know that the distance between points A and C is 11 miles. And we know that the distance between points C and B is 8 miles. And we also know that the angle measure of angle C is 37 degrees. Make sure we have the degree mark in there. And this is what we have so far. Now, in this problem, it says that we're going to be searching for the distance between the Wendy's and President Harding's home. So that means we're going to be solving for C. So now that we have our picture and we know the information we need, we can start to get to the fun stuff. We can start solving the problem. So the first thing that you're going to need to know when solving a law of cosines problem is you need to know the formula. So the law of cosines says that c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2 multiplied by a times b times the cosine of c. So now that we have our law of cosines formula, we can start to plug our numbers into the equation. So as you can see, the formula starts with a c squared here, and as you know, c is the variable that we're trying to solve for. So you can keep that as c squared, as I did right here. And then next is a squared. So all you have to do is look at our handy dandy picture over here, and you can see that the a is across from the 8. So you know that side A has a length of 8. So you just plug in 8 right here. So next you're going to do the same for B. So you can see that B is across from the 11. So you plug 11 in for B, and that's what you get. So then you do the same for the A and the B again in the equation. And now you have to plug in the cosine of C. So if you look at our picture again, you can see that angle C has an angle measure of 37 degrees. So you plug in 37, and now you have your equation. So really, for these types of problems, all you're doing is plugging numbers into an equation. I mean, how easy is that? It's extremely easy. So you guys don't even need me, right? Well, let's keep going. So the next thing you're going to do is take all your numbers in your new equation, and you're just going to multiply it out. So the best way to do this is probably with your calculator. So kids at home, take out your graphing calculators or regular calculators. Doesn't really matter for this type of problem. So you're just going to type in exactly what you have written down. So use parentheses and make sure that everything's being multiplied right. So go do that now. Well, if you multiplied it out correctly, you should get the answer 44.44. Now, if you didn't get the answer, I would go back and make sure that you wrote down all the correct numbers and used all the correct parentheses, because if you don't do that, you might get a different number. But I'm sure you guys all got the right number, because I mean, come on, you have the best professor in the world. Just kidding, that honor goes to Miss Berman. So, now that you have your number, you're done. Yay! Wait, just kidding. Now if you look back at your equation, we're solving for c squared. And the number we're looking for in the problem is the distance between the Wendy's and President Harding's home. And that number is not squared. So if we want to get to c, we're going to have to do the square root of that number. So again, let's take out the handy dandy calculator and let's do the square root of 44.44. Now you should get a number that is roughly 6.67. If you didn't get that number, again, go back, make sure everything's typed in correctly. And if you did, congratulations, you just solved your first law of cosines problem. Doesn't it feel great? I think so. But wait, before you go, let's make sure that we're writing the answer correctly. So remember that this is a word problem. So that means that you're going to have to write units in there. So if we look back at our problem, you can see that the units is in miles. So we're going to write our answer is 6.67 miles. Oh, just wait, don't pack up yet before you leave. Let's just review how to solve a law of cosines problem, because I've thrown a lot of information at you today. So, in review, the first thing you're going to do when you get one of these problems is read through the problem. It's really important to read through the entire problem and make sure that you know what's important and what's not important. Next, you're going to draw out your picture. Pictures are super important in one of these types of problems because they really help you visually know what's going on in the problem. And then next, once you determine that it's a law of cosines problem, you're going to write out your equation. It's going to be the same equation every time. It's the c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab times the cosine of c. Next, you're going to write out your equation, substituting in the numbers for each variable. And then, last but not least, you're going to multiply it out. And that's how you solve a law of cosines problem. Is that the bell I just heard? Well, looks like that's all the time we have for today. So, I'm Professor Max, and thank you for listening.